Alrighty, party people. We are back for episode five, number five, lucky number five. I had a couple minutes in between calls here, and I wanted to talk about some things that, um, honestly, I've been hearing a lot about and a lot of, and it's something that making me see some patterns that I want to express to people. And I jotted down some notes so that I can not lose my train of thought like I do sometimes. But I'm really excited to chat today, just a little bit more about consistency and a little bit more about some of the patterns I'm seeing with people, specifically when it comes to relinquishing ownership of a problem, whether it be with your coach, whether it be with Ozempic, whether it be with a doctor, whether it be with whatever it may be with. People are in that pattern of looking for a savior, right? Of something that's going to save them, of something that's going to fix them. The sooner you make up in your mind that you are the only thing and the only person that you can truly commit to, the sooner it's going to be easier for you to hit your goals, to get to where you want to get to. And we'll also talk about that with goals and having clarity and a picture. And I guess we could start there. I work with a couple different coaches myself to help get some mental clarity on what I want, my physical clarity on what I want with my body. And I think a lot of people, I'll ask them what they're looking for. I'll ask them what their goals are. I'll ask them what's a perfect, pay me a picture. I want to see it. I want to see the brushstrokes. I want to see the color of what your goals are. And most people have given more thought into what they want to have for lunch than where they want to end up, what they want their goals to be, whether that's your body, whether that's financially, whether that's emotionally. People aren't taking time to really look at these things and say, I don't want to end up like my parents. I don't want to end up X, Y, and Z. I don't want to end up alone later in life. I want to end up with kids. These are conversations that are getting less frequently touched than, like I said, what we're eating every single day. So I would urge you, if you haven't already, getting some clarity on where you want to be. And I'm not saying in 6 months or a year. I'm saying what is 10 years from now look like for you? Sit down and write it out. From opening your eyes in the morning to go to bed at night, what does that look like? And I'm not saying you have a yacht and 2 Lamborghinis and whatever. I'm saying more so how do you want to live your life? Are you enjoying the cycle that you're in right now? Are you enjoying this phase? Because if you are, great. Keep doing what you're doing and align your future vision to that place. But if you're not happy with where you are right now and the actions that you're putting in right now, what do you think is going to happen 10 years compounding of where you are right now? That is basically what you're neglecting these problems, these thoughts, these issues, and leaving them for later you. When later you comes, it's like taxes, right? For most people who own a business, you have to pay quarterly taxes to stay on top of things. Or if you're like Zach, you wait until the end and then the IRS texts you with a crazy large bill and you're like, wow, that was a problem that I thought future me was going to handle. And now I'm future me. And I really don't appreciate past me for not getting clarity on what to do. Right. And so, that's where really sitting down and ironing out, not just what do I want to have for lunch, but where do I want to be in 10 years? What do I want my life to look like? How do I want to act? How do I respond to stimulus? How do I want to respond to my life? Right. Because if you're not thinking about these, you're not going to think about what's going to make you happy. And that's why we're here, right? Is to bring joy, bring happiness. It's not for shareholder value or to, I don't know, do things for personal you want to bring happiness to this world. At least I hope you do. I believe that there's still people out there who do genuinely care about other humans and themselves, and they want the best for the people around them. And we've lost that plot. We've lost everybody I talk to. There's such an area of mistrust and anger right now. It's misdirected anger, and there's a lot of fringe, people on the fringes getting hit. I'll tell you, if I look at the calls that I'm having now versus the calls that I was having a year from now, people are more confused than ever on what they want their life to look like, what they want to feel like, what they want their body to look like. People are more frustrated than ever because they feel like they've been screwed over by 10 different people. People are more hesitant than ever to take action. It's not even invest, to take action in themselves, because they have all of these things at their disposal, all these options. And so when you have all these options, it becomes a moment of overstimulation where you're like, okay, maybe I'll wait for the next best thing, or maybe I'll think this over. When in reality, you don't need to think anymore. You've been doing the thinking. You need to take action, right? It's one thing if you have clarity and you're sitting with it. It's another thing to have clarity and not take action, right? And I've been there. I'm currently there right now with a crossroads in a decision that I have to make in my personal life, and I haven't pulled the Band-Aid off. I haven't ripped what I want off because I'm so scared of losing that comfort of what I've built, right? And when you can sit in that comfort and feel that comfort, it becomes a lot easier to say, I'm okay. I'm okay, right? But if you're not thinking about the bigger picture, if you're not thinking about the future and where you want to be, you forget that you're going to be 10 years in, stuck where you are right now, wondering like, what if I went all in on myself? What if I asked that person out? What if I opened that business? What if? And in today's day and age, when it is so easy to take action, you have to literally make excuses not to do things. Like, we have to sit and be like, you know what? I need to finish this series on Netflix, or I need to, like, there are so many tools at your disposal for relatively low cost. Like, if you think about the boom of information, it's been so incredible to see, right? Like, we started with the .com boom of, being able to go online, and then having a personal computer in your home to be able to go online. And then shoot, all of a sudden we have a freaking computer in our pocket that we can search things on. And then all of a sudden we've got AI. Anything that you want to know is at your fingertips. What is your excuse? What is your excuse? Not only that, but these tools have made it easier for people like myself, for doctors, for lawyers, for people who are experts in the field to do their job. Yes, there are some people who should not be doing what they're doing, but you're going to have that with AI, with these tools, with the internet, or not, right? There's always going to be those people that are going to live on the fringes and give a bad name for people who are actually trying to help, right? But what is your deepest dream, and how do we get there is so easy nowadays to plug it into AI, plug it into the computer, start doing some research, and figure it out. I mean, I have a friend who is a multi-millionaire right now because he really loved this little tiny, crazy, decentralized currency and decided, you know what? I'm going to do my job, but I'm going to learn everything that I can about crypto. Everything. And he has built an empire out of teaching people crypto, which again is online. You can find it. You can ask questions. You can learn this stuff on your own, but he has become the expert. And that's why people are paying him large sums of money to learn from him, right? And so I would urge you to stop thinking small and stop thinking so nearsighted, right? It's like, I want you to go get the prescription filled to figure out, where are we long term? What does that look like for you long term, right? And the problem then becomes, right, specifically when I talk to people around fitness and health, right, like the boredom. I have a girl in the program right now who is a badass. She is dialed. She is doing the work. She is sending me form videos. She is hitting her macros. She is right where, when we started, she didn't have super duper clarity on where she wanted to be, but she's right where she wants to be. And now she's starting to go from like beginner intermediate to intermediate advanced, right? Not Armenian, intermediate advanced. And watching her and her knowledge and her, like, she doesn't rely on me a ton, but when she does, it's very pointed towards where I can see her mind wanting to go, right? She wants to get better at the fundamentals, at the lifting, at the nutrition, at the things that actually matter to catapult her into a position where she doesn't need me anymore, right? And that's the goal. That's the goal, is to get people into that space where they feel so comfortable with what they want and where they want to go that they don't need me. But something that she brought up to me recently that anybody who works out knows is she is starting to get bored, right? Like once you've gotten through the tough part, it's like a storm, right? Once you've gotten through the tough part of the storm and you're in the eye, it's calm. It's almost boring, right? Like you put in the work to get consistent. You put in the work to find the foods that work for you. You put in the work to start to work on the mental game of who am I versus who do I want to be, right? You've started to put in the work, and now you're cruising. You're in a cruise control, and you've found your rhythm. But that consistency can turn into boredom really quick, right? And yes, you can switch up your split, you can switch up your foods, you can switch up your days, you can switch up your gym, right? And you can add little tiny flavors to it. But boredom shouldn't be a bad thing. Yes, if you stay bored for too long, you may get shiny object syndrome and try to jump to something else. But, and hear me out on this, if you are bored doing the fundamentals of what you need to be doing and you can get that in, don't you think you'll be more consistent? Don't you think you'll end up being the person you want to be if you can find that groove? Not one person I've ever talked to has come to me and say, Zach, I'm so bored of brushing my teeth. Like it's just something I do morning and night. And I don't think about it. And I'm so bored of it. Right. One, I would ask, why are you talking to me about your teeth? That's like not my domain. But two, we know that's something we need to do because we want to keep the teeth in our mouth so we can eat the lunch that we're thinking about. Right. And so getting to that board is the hardest part. Like, you remember what it was like to be a kid and like your parents would be, at least I do, your parents would be begging you, Zach, you need to brush your teeth. You need to brush your teeth, right? You're a kid. You just want to go to bed, but you're exhausted, but they're on your behind to brush your teeth, right? And so once you cross over into a place where it's like, okay, now it's a habit. Now it's something I'm ingrained. It's not something you think about. You just kind of do, right? And so starting requires the most energy. It's something new, whether be it a job, a new place you're living, a new language, working out, eating right, whatever it is, it takes the most energy to start because you have to learn, you have to figure it out. You have to, like, there's only so much someone else can teach you, right? Before you have to get your hands dirty. I don't know if anybody's like learned a language, right? But I am 2.5 years deep into Spanish, conversational Spanish, and I still am like, some days I hear myself talk and I'm like, what is going on? Like, you should be further along by now. And here's the thing. You can look at all the vocab and learn all the words and do all the things, but unless you're practicing, you don't know about the tenses. You don't know about how to use specific slang for specific territories, for specific areas. You don't know the accents. You know, the funniest, like the biggest shift to me was I, grew up in California, so close to Mexico. And the Mexican accent is very different than where I am now, the Argentinian accent. So I remember I've been out here for about a year or so, and I went to Mexico for a retreat. And I was in Ciudad de Mexico, Mexico City, and I was ordering food to go, right? And in Argentina, they have a sha. Two L's together make a sha. So my accent is Argentinian. It's actually Argentinian Brazilian, which is interesting. But nevertheless, the sha I love it. It's very like, say suave, but it's very like smooth, right? A lot of people hate it because it's just very not technical Spanish, right? But I mean, you look at Spain and they got the right, and so everybody has their own little add-on. Anyway, I'm in Mexico ordering food to go, and you say, I want food for to go, for para llevar, to take away, right? And they didn't understand what the heck I was saying. I was like, para llevar, para llevar. And they're like, I don't understand. Well, what are you saying? And so I literally had to like make a thing over my back, like to go, like I was walking away. And they're like, para llevar, llevar. And I was like, sí, para llevar, pero vivo en Argentina, but I live in Argentina. So it's llevar for me, right? But the Nevertheless, that was kind of a tangent. The whole point of that is I can look at all the books, I can read all the books, I can listen to all the audio books, right? But until you get into practice, it's not gonna make a difference. Real quick, a better example that all my friends laugh at me for is I'm learning Portuguese as well. I'm not as in depth with Portuguese, but I'm getting there. And I love audiobooks, right? I'll go for a run, listen to an audiobook, go for a walk, listen for an audiobook. And the audiobook I was listening to was beginner Portuguese, right? And the guy was explaining how to talk to someone in Rio. And the phrase was they use the real instead of the dollar, right? So it's how many reals do you have in your wallet? Quantos reais você tem na sua carteira, right? And the conversation went like, how many reals do you have in your wallet? I don't have much in my wallet, but I have a lot in my hotel. Do you want to come with me to my hotel so I can get more? I told that to my Brazilian friends, and they were dying. They were hysterical, and I didn't understand, right? Because I'm maybe a little slow, but in the streets of Rio de Janeiro, you don't say that. You don't say, "Come back to my hotel room. I'll give you more money." Right? People are gonna like rob you. Right? That's the reality of the situation. So until you understand and put these things into practice, you can never know. If you're someone so oblivious like me, you can never know that is going to be the situation. You just do not know. So learning something, studying something, starting to build something is great. But once you put into practice, you're going to learn 10 times more. I am all about ripping the Band-Aid off and just saying, screw it, let's go. Let's run as fast as we can. We're going to learn as we go. And that's one strategy, right? And that's what got me into working out and taking care of myself. Another strategy is the researched type A. Very, 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 I want to think about every single scenario before I jump in. And each side of the coin has different issues when it comes to getting to the steps they need to, right? For somebody who's type A who needs to learn everything, the taking action part is the hardest part. And then the learning is the hardest part, right? Like they start to take a step back as they take a step forward. They start to take action like, oh, wow, that wasn't what I expected. Let me sit back and start to research that again. Whereas the crazy people like me who just sprint, right? I take action and then I make mistakes. And then those mistakes can start to build up. And if I'm not cognizant of where I am, where I want to be, all of a sudden I'm in left field where I was trying to go down the center, right? And so until you can understand what type of person you are, how you are best motivated, and what the best way to break through those thresholds are, you will not succeed at building a new skill, whether it be working out, whether it be nutrition, whether it be whatever, right? And so same thing with autopilot, right? It's very interesting to see how different people handle autopilot. I have some clients who, I've been working with for a while who just like, they're on autopilot, they're seeing results, they ask me questions where they need to, and that's it, right? And I used to be the guy who was like reaching out every day and saying, hey, how are we doing? What's going on? What questions you have? But you realize some people need the structure. And they're like me. They just run. They're doing the right things. They're seeing the weight loss. They're feeling good. They just run. Other people need to understand the why behind everything, need to sit down and hyperanalyze every single piece. And that is okay as well. But I will say that people I've seen who take direction and run the fastest do tend to get results quicker. Sometimes they can end up falling off long term because they don't understand the reason behind things. But the people who hyperanalyze, I see people take 2 times as long to get to the point where they might fall off, right? It's just long term. We were biologically, we were programmed to learn by trial and error, right? You saw someone die because they ate a berry. You don't eat that berry anymore, right? The hypercritical thinking came later in our evolution, and it's where we are right now. Right. And so this is a good segue into what I've been seeing a lot with conversations that I'm having I want to phrase this in a way that's correct, but the blame placement. And when I say that, I mean like I guess savior complex would be a better way of saying it, right? Like someone's going to come in, I'm going to come, you're going to hire me and I'm going to save you, right? I'm going to fix everything for you. You don't have to lift a finger. You can do it, right? The savior complex is huge, right? We have become a society of convenience. Like not many people are working hard, intensive labor jobs. We're sitting at a desk all day, or we're running around doing things all day, but not many people are still working those. I'll rephrase that. There's a lot of people still working those intense jobs, right? But we've become so accustomed to ordering food. We've become so accustomed to wanting something and it's at our door in 4 hours, right? That that savior complex is killing us, and is what like in my head is going to end the human existence, right? If we are so incapable and lazy to do the hard things, we're going to have issues. And I'm seeing that right now with a lot of the Ozempic and peptides. And I want to be very clear. I do not want to demonize those things, because those things are here. They're going to stay. It's only going to increase. And if you look at the data, those things are actually helping in a lot of areas that people don't even realize. Grocery bills are less for families who are taking Ozempic. They're eating less. Eating out bills are less. They're paying less money to go eat out. Their food ends up being a little bit cleaner, right? The gym market is actually up because people are realizing, okay, I can't just do this. I need to actually take care of myself too. So there's a lot of like side effects that I don't think people are fully aware of with these drugs, the good and the bad, right? But I can't tell you how many people I jump on calls with, and they say, I'm either thinking of just jumping on Ozempic or working with someone, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, right? Like it's going to take work to rearrange life habits, right? It's not going to be an easy thing. But I promise you, if you just go for the savior complex of jabbing yourself once a week in the stomach and that's it, you're gonna sprint and then realize 2 months, 6 months, whatever, you chose an easy route that didn't fix anything. It just looped around the problem. It's like taxes, right? It's just like, okay, now you have to pay it back, because 50 to 75% of people end up coming off of those drugs in 4 months or less. On top of that, they end up gaining the weight back because they're going right back to their hunger's back, right? So they're going right back to the process. So there needs to be a mesh of the scientific evolution that we're having around these things and taking ownership, right? It's not about the result. It has to be how you get there. Otherwise, the result, like if the result of you making, like how you make money is you win the lottery, odds are you're going to spend all that money and have no other way to replicate it. It's the time honored, the oldest, like what, give a man a fish or teach him to fish, right? If I just give you what you want, you're never going to learn how to get there. That sounds great, right? Let me just give you $1 million would fix a lot of people's issues, but it's going to create issues that, like we said, you didn't necessarily think of at the beginning, right? And all of a sudden you're going to be in a different situation, different problem that you don't have the skill set to adapt to, right? And so that's why I want to urge you to get that, like we talked about, the clarity of where you want to go, building that process for yourself and learning the skills, and then readjusting throughout, right? It doesn't have to be this like huge stressful thing, but it does have to be something that you put time, energy, and thought into. And at the end of the day, we're on this planet to learn, to grow, to develop, to make it a better place, like I talked about before. And if you're not actively engaged in that process, where do you think that's going to leave you? You're going to be sitting on the sidelines. Maybe you'll be very cognizant of what TV shows are on, or very in depth on one very certain specific thing, right? But you won't be growing into a better version of you, which is what we need to survive. I don't know if I'm sure you guys are looking around and seeing what's happening to this world. It's very sad to see so much anger, so much war, so much hate, so much manipulation, so much corruption, right? And it's not slowing down. Anthropic, which owns Claude, had an update to their AI that they could not publish because it can break into banks. It can break into software. It can do things that would threaten our national security, right? And so if we are not moving forward as a civilization ethically, emotionally, spiritually, physically, we're gonna be in a really, really tough place here in the next couple of years where we're gonna be forced to. Otherwise, we're gonna be ejected from the planet, right? And this isn't meant to scare you, but I do want you to take away from this. Like, I do want you to go and think, like, what systems do I have in place to take care of myself? What systems do I have in place to grow and to learn? And where can I be better? Because I promise you, you can be better. I can be better. We can all be better. And taking your ego aside for a second and thinking about the bigger picture of things, isn't that why we're here? Is to all get better, to do better, to be better together? Because if it's not, then what's the purpose, right? What's the bigger purpose? So tying it all back, I want to give you an exercise to do where you do sit down and you do, whether it's journal or I'm a crazy voice note person. My girlfriend hates it. I'm like walking around the house talking to my phone. But whatever it is, to sit down and get hyper fixated on clarity. And maybe it's not the right direction, but at least it's going to give you breadcrumbs towards where you want to head. Maybe you, like, I try to journal daily and I try to look at what I want to do daily. And then I take all that and I used to reread it. I'll actually throw it into AI and say, hey, tell me what's going on in my brain. Tell me areas that I'm not seeing, that I'm talking about, right? And having these tools to be able to build this knowledge and this process is instrumental. And so I want to urge you, if you are the type A who is just hyper analyzing, I want you to do one thing this week to take action, to start running. And if you are the person who just runs, I want you to take 10 minutes this week to sit back and look at your actions and where they're building up to. And if you're in that phase where you're feeling bored and you're feeling like I'm on that path, I'm on that right path, I'm just kind of like, it's become monotonous, I would urge you to find little things. Can you change your gym? Can you change your environment? Can you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation? Can you go to a new, learn Spanish, go to a Spanish class that you take 2 nights a week, right? Where it puts you in a situation where you are actively challenging yourself, because that is what's going to bring you out of that monotony and make you feel alive again, right? So I love you all. I hope this sparked something in you. I am very curious if you do sit down and write down your from waking up tonight, 10 years from now. If you do sit down and write that out, I want to hear it. I want to hear what you're doing. Shoot me a DM. Tell me you did this. Tell me you heard this. Tell me this impacted you. But I'm signing out. I love these, and I love being able to just kind of talk about what's on my mind. I hope everyone is spreading love and doing well. And like always, if you want to reach me, links are in the bio. Shoot me a DM. Always happy to have a conversation.